European powers aiming to maintain their colonial hegemony often grant privileges to and promote subsections of a colonized population in order to artificially stratify and create tensions within their subject state, ultimately creating an imbalance of material conditions across artificial ethnic lines in colonial subjects serves European hegemonic interests. As a historical case study, let's quickly analyze the policy enacted by European colonial powers in Rwanda of granting privileges to the Tutsi people. This served to divide the subject population and make Rwanda more easy to exploit and incorporate into European colonial hegemony. The granting of privileges to the Tutsi served two hegemonic goals. Firstly, Belgians aimed to create a loyal administrative class whose privileges rested on the maintenance of the colonial regime. Secondly, promoting the Tutsi as being racially superior explained and rationalized the evidence of a complex, thriving pre-colonial Rwandan kingdom, which contradicts the European pretense of the colony serving a civilizing mission. Pre-colonial Rwanda had a linguistically and culturally homogeneous population before the European colonial regimes, and it was inaccurate to consider the Hutu and Tutsi distinct ethnic groups, as is done today and during the colonial period. However, German and Belgian colonizers interpreted the centralized nature of the Rwandan kingdom as being the result of the Tutsi, who they considered to be superior and the closest to resembling Europeans. Pierre Ryckmans, the Governor-General in 1931, stated, "The Batutsi were meant to reign. Their fine presence is in itself enough to give them a great prestige vis-à-vis the inferior races which surround." The Belgians sponsored educational programs for the Tutsi exclusively and granted them many privileges based on their imagined supremacy. These privileges were granted to create an administrative core populated by Tutsi to run the day-to-day operations of the colony. The Hutu were designated by Belgians to perform often forced menial labor. This exacerbated tensions between the two peoples, as the Tutsi were promoted into administrative roles and the Hutu reduced to a position of near slavery. Belgium also distinguished the two peoples in the census, artificially distinguishing two peoples who lived, to a certain extent, as one for generations in pre-colonial times. The special educational programs the Tutsi received were meant to instill a sense of racial superiority. They were taught in French, granted pathways to citizenship, and constantly reminded of their superiority over the Hutu. The creation of a loyal administrative class was entirely dependent on the distinguishing of the Tutsi as a racially superior elite. The Belgians forced the Tutsi into this superior position over the Hutu. During the 1920s, Belgians systematically replaced Hutus in leadership roles with Tutsis and gave them almost universal power. This system was implemented with the knowledge that this would promote abuses and despotic relations. The Belgians wanted to create hatred. Hutu chiefs were replaced with Tutsi, and all justice went through the chiefs. Belgium monopolized local power in the hands of the Tutsi. This policy is aptly summarized as, "You whip the Hutu, or we will whip you." Belgian policies which instilled racial hierarchy in Rwanda also served to rationalize and explain the existence of an advanced and complex pre-colonial society. European colonialism rested on the premise that Africans were backward and in need of civilization. When Europeans realized how wrong this premise was, they devised theories in order to maintain their racist ideology. The Hamitic hypothesis was a theory which was developed to explain this. This theory, supported by leading contemporaneous European scholars, claimed that some inhabitants of Africa, like the Tutsis, were in fact Caucasians, distinct and superior from other Africans. A Roman Catholic missionary working in Rwanda summarized the racial theory in 1917. "The Tutsi is closer to the white man than the Negro. He is a European under a black skin." This theory was created in order to maintain the pretense of a civilizing mission in Africa, by crediting any semblance of what Europeans consider to be civilization to an imagined Caucasian race. The justification of European colonial hegemony as a civilizing mission was fundamental and present from the beginning for Belgians. Leopold II was granted the Congo region in part due to a propaganda campaign which appealed to humanitarian and civilizing principles. Belgians could therefore continue to justify their colonial hegemony in Rwanda as necessary as they were a civilizing force by distinguishing between the Tutsi and Hutu. Overall, this video examined Belgian colonial racial policies in Rwanda and showed how the granting of privileges to the Tutsi people was instrumental to the maintenance of Belgian control and hegemony in the colony.